A letter to my unborn son. I wish I could meet you and walk together with a cup of coffee in hands to give you some friendly advice that I learned from my life experience. My son, if you have time, sit alone peacefully by a cliff and read this booklet, which is the only living memory between us. My son, always be optimistic in life. Look at the glass of water half full, not half empty. Do not hate people. Since life is too short to show our love good enough, never hate sinners. Rather, you must hate their wrongdoings. Always leave a room for your enemy to be a friend one day. Don't judge people based on their background of religion, race, ethnicity, sex, and color. Eventually, we are all creatures of God. Do whatever you want. Say whatever you like, but always remember that somebody is watching you day and night consistently. It is not your fault if you were born poor, but it is your fault if you die so. Try to get your own house before you turn 40. Otherwise, it will be difficult to get it then. My son, if you have any plan in your life, try to consult with experienced people. Listen to as many people as possible. However, you are the only one who decides on your future. Be careful of your thinking. Because your thinking becomes your decision becomes your words become your deeds, and your deeds will become your behavior, and finally, your behavior draws your personality. So, in order to have a bright future, always organize your thinking. Show your passion to youngers and respect to elders. Always look at those people whose situation are worse than yours financially, healthily, and socially. Then you will understand how much you are blessed by God. My son, I know money can do so many things, solve many problems, and persuade many people. But do not forget the humane aspect in life. Because by money, you can buy a watch, but not time. You can buy sex, but not love. You can buy a bed, but not sleep. And you can buy a house, but not a home. Do wish the best for all people as you wish for yourself. I know sometimes life is unfair, yet you should always be honest, even though it goes against you. I know you pay the cost for that, but that is how you will win the game of both worlds. I know being a good father, a good husband, and a good breadwinner at the same time, it's not an easy job. But try to keep a balance between them. Always put your family first. If you have knowledge of Albert Einstein, wealth of Bill Gates, fame of Michael Jackson, but your children are not that what you look like them to be, you are the unhappiest person in the world. My son, try to be independent and remember earning $1 is better than having $10 in a winning lottery. Try to earn a school degree, then think about a job, and try to learn at least another language to speak. Because the more language you speak, the more person you represent. Let not education and job beat your social life. Try to get married in your 20s and have at least 2 children to replace you and your spouse. Remember, there is always a daily party in each home. If you want to know you are a lovely person at home or a hatred one, check out when does the party starts. By your arrival at home or departure. My son, never ever forget to appreciate your mom efforts. Kiss her hands before you go out to work every morning, because she is the only person I ever loved. I love you, my son. I will see you in the heaven. Your dad, Alan. There once lived an old man whose name was Lucas. He had 3 sons who were all married, the oldest one named David, the middle was Luke, and the youngest one was Scott. Lucas was sitting down at his home one day, and it started to pour rain. The rain was so intense that it started to leak inside the house. The next day, he decided to go stay at David's house because there was too much water damage inside the house. Lucas gets to David's house and enjoys the company of his wife and kids. At the end of the day, Lucas goes to sleep. The next morning, Lucas goes to David's wife and asks her if she can do something for him. He explains, "I accidentally wet myself while I was sleeping. I was wondering if you can clean it up and not tell David?" The wife looks at him in disgust. She can't believe that he just wet himself in the bed. She starts to raise her voice and calls him disgusting. She tells him to get out of the house by the end of the day. Lucas packs his belongings and goes over to his middle son's house. He gets to his house and enjoys the company of Luke's wife and kids. At the end of the day, Lucas goes to sleep. The next morning, Lucas goes to Luke's wife and asks her if she can do something for him. He explains, "I accidentally wet myself while I was sleeping. I was wondering if you can clean it up and not tell Luke." The wife looks at him in disgust. She can't believe that he just wet himself in the bed. Like the first daughter-in-law, she starts to raise her voice and calls him disgusting. She tells him to get out of the house by the end of the day. Lucas packs his belongings and goes over to his youngest son, Scott's house. He gets to his house and enjoys the company of Scott's wife and kids. At the end of the day, Lucas goes to sleep. The next morning, Lucas goes to Scott's wife and asks if she can do something for him. He explains, "I accidentally wet myself while I was sleeping. I was wondering if you can clean it up and not tell Scott." Lucas can't believe that he wet himself for a 3rd time, shaking his head vigorously. The wife looks at him with a smile. She said, "It's okay, Dad. I won't tell Scott. Just go take a shower and head downstairs for breakfast, and I will clean it up real quick so he doesn't find out." Lucas smiles and heads downstairs. About a month later, there is a Christmas party at Lucas' house. All the water damage was fixed for him being able to have the party. All his 3 sons show up with their wives and kids. As everyone gets comfortable, Lucas presents a speech. "I just wanted to let everybody know that when my house was getting fixed, I had a little experiment. At each of my sons' houses, I told all the wives that I wet myself in bed. I told them to not tell my sons and if they can clean it up. I just pretended that I wet myself, but in reality, I poured a cup of water on my bed. Only one wife did that for me, and it's Scott's wife, my youngest son. It's a shame because I have a diamond necklace for her kind actions." Everyone is in shock and awe as he gives her the necklace. Lucas hugs her and gives the other 2 wives a menacing look. This story teaches us to respect our elders. Just because they have made a mistake doesn't mean that you can't help them. One major problem that leads to destroying families is suspicion, which parents are not trusting each other. Although they are good and help each other in the family, they might have weaknesses in their relationships. Sometimes, this is called jealousy, in which partners love each other so much they don't let others come between them. But sometimes, it is a lack of trust between them. Let's see how suspicion affects this family. In one of the beautiful evenings, this family is having a good time outside, talking and telling jokes to each other. They are discussing how to buy a house and plan to have kids. Then, she told her husband to go on vacation next month to Hawaii to celebrate their 3rd wedding anniversary. The couple ended their evening time and came back home. For the next day, Amy was in a hurry to go to work, had a quick breakfast, and went out. But Don was off that day. He told his wife that he planned to do some chores today. At work, Amy wants to see her family provider. She was looking for her cell phone in her purse to make contact to set a medical appointment. Because she came out quickly this morning, she left her cell phone at home. She left the office and headed home to take her phone. When Amy came home and saw that her husband and a strange girl were hugging each other, she burst out of anger and started quarreling with her husband. She was yelling and accused her husband of cheating and giving her all my clothes and shoes. Although the man wanted to explain what happened, she was not ready to listen to his excuses and decided to divorce him. The man tried to calm her down and define who she was and why she was there. The man said, "You see, when we were sitting at the cafeteria yesterday, a homeless girl was sitting alone behind you. She looked exhausted and hungry. She did not have a penny to buy some food as her first meal for today. She was standing by the door and looking at the pictures eagerly. When we were watching TV and eating popcorn, I was all night thinking of her and said to myself, where was she supposed to sleep? Did she eat some food yesterday? I felt guilty because I could not help her at the moment. That is why this morning, after you left to work, I decided to go to the same place to know if she is still there to help. Fortunately, I found her and asked if I could do something for her. I took her home. After she washed her face, I gave her some food. She finished the whole plate because she was starving. Then I gave her your skirt, which you did not wear due to its being outdated. I gave her your shirt. You said it was getting smaller for your size, and I gave her the tennis shoes because you have recently bought a new pair and you were no longer wearing them. And finally, to show her appreciation, she hugged me and thanked me. Amy was still suspicious of all that her husband had excused. She grabbed the car keys and went out home to leave him. On her way, she thought that her husband might have been right. That is why she visited the same cafeteria where she was supposed to meet the homeless. When she arrived there, she saw the homeless girl and had worn all her dress. She sat down next to her and apologized to her of how she mistreated her before. Then she told her that from now on, you are no longer staying on the streets. I am a manager in my company, and we are now hiring people. I can find a good job for you. Then, her husband guessed that his wife might visit the place to confirm whether I told the truth. This story teaches us we should always give rights and time to others to explain their excuses. It is not good to trust everyone, yet it is terrible if you trust none. One evening, a middle school teacher named Mr. Gonzalez is at the park going for a jog. Someone running the opposite way passes him, but then turns around and approaches him. The boy starts talking to him as if he knew him. Mr. Gonzalez is confused because he does not know the boy. They keep talking back and forth, but then suddenly the man has something to say. He says, "I just want to thank you for being a great teacher for me in the past." Mr. Gonzalez replied, "Oh, son, I tried to be a good teacher for my students in my entire life. Although I don't remember you well, you must be a good person," David said. "Yeah, you are not just a teacher. You are a great educator as well. You must remember me because I had an accident with you at class. I just wanted to give you my appreciation for not letting the whole class know that I was a thief." Mr. Gonzalez did not understand these words. "Tell me, son, what do you mean by that? I don't remember anything like that." Then David reminded his teacher, "Back 20 years ago at your biology class, I stole a student's watch. Then he ran to you and told you that someone stole his watch. You immediately stopped the class and lined us up to check our pockets one by one. I was afraid, and I prayed a lot not to be known that I was a thief. But what you did was shocking, and you made all of us close our eyes so we didn't know who stole it. Then when it came to my turn, you searched me and pulled out the watch from my pocket. Then you told us, 'Open your eyes,' and gave the watch to Sam. I thought I recognized you from afar, so yeah, I just really appreciated what you did. You are a very great teacher." Mr. Gonzalez still looks confused. 20 years have gone by so fast. It's been a very long time. He told David that he doesn't know who you are. David keeps trying to persuade him, but he just can't remember. Now back to the present. Finally, the boy says, "I'm David. This happened in your biology class, remember?" This instantly triggers Mr. Gonzalez as he starts to remember. Mr. Gonzalez says, "Oh, yeah, now I do remember that you were my student, and I think I remember that situation. Someone did steal the watch, and I checked everyone. But still, I don't know who the thief was. You know why? Because I was closing my eyes to not know who the thief was to avoid me not to mistreat him later. Because I loved my students all." David looks confused, but then realizes what Mr. Gonzalez did was even better because then nobody knew who stole it. They both shook hands and went their separate ways. This story teaches us that in life we make mistakes, but mistakes shape us and make us into a better person. So why we treat the situation in a negative way? A message from Salt. Sarah walks out of her house and sees her neighbor Mia. Mia is watering her plants with a cup of water. She throws her trash away and is stopped by Mia. Mia said, "Hey Sarah, how are you doing today? I was wondering if I could borrow a couple of eggs. I just ran out this morning." Sarah tells her to give her a second. She walks inside her house and into her kitchen. She opens the fridge and sees 4 different egg cartons. She grabs one of them and heads outside. Sarah walks over to Mia and heads over the eggs. Mia thanked her and then proceeded to go inside her house. She goes to her fridge and opens it. All she sees are a couple of hot dogs and milk. She puts the eggs inside and starts to tear up. Sarah is inside her house cooking a big meal for her and her son Jacob. He comes inside the kitchen and tells her mom that the food looks really good. He waits for dinner to be ready Then the both of them eat. There are ribs and expensive meat on the table. Suddenly, there is a knock on the door. Sarah gets up and inspects the noise. She looks through the peephole to see who it is. It happens to be Mia. Sarah immediately opens the door and invites her in. Mia looks at Jacob and sees that he is eating, so she hesitates to walk inside. "I'm sorry, I walked in at the wrong time. I'm gonna leave so you guys can enjoy your food," said Mia. Sarah tells her not to worry and to stay for dinner. Mia sits at the kitchen table and grabs one piece of meat. "Don't be shy. Go ahead and grab some more," said Sarah. The three of them eat and they all clean up the kitchen table. Before Mia leaves, she asks if she can borrow some French fries. Sarah willingly gives her some water and then Mia goes home. The next morning, Sarah is cooking breakfast. She tells Jacob if he can ask Mia for some salt. Jacob looks in the kitchen and sees a brand new box of salt. "Why do you need salt if you already have some, Mom?" said Jacob. His mom insists that he asks for the salt. Sarah begins to explain to him, "I want you to ask for salt because I don't want Mia to be shy when she asks for things. I will get something that's really cheap from her while I can help her out with the more expensive items. I don't want her thinking that she is a burden. She is always encouraged to come by and ask for items, so that's why I'm asking you to go over to her house for the salt." Jacob goes to Mia's house for the salt. He comes back and explains to his mom that she looked really happy when I asked. She felt grateful that she could help. Sarah cracks a smile and proceeds to finish breakfast. This story is to show us that you need to have each other's back. No matter what struggle you are going through, always be there for each other.